Chapter 5. Life begins for Angelique. Jerry did more than just train Angelique in hand-to-hand combat and weaponry. He instilled in her a profound sense of patriotism and values. In a community filled with the ideals of peace, love, and mutual respect, Jerry stood out as someone Angelique deeply admired and trusted, aside from her parents. She recognized the importance of their clandestine sessions. Should anyone in her world of harmonious ideals discover her lessons with Jerry, it could mean their last interaction. For in her parents' utopian society, even self-defense was viewed as a manifestation of aggression. It was the profound affection Angelique held for her parents, combined with the insights she'd gained from Jerry, created a deep internal conflict. A week after finishing high school, she found herself sowing seeds alongside her family, helping with the farm chores. Yet every passing day intensified her desire for something different. As she planted the last seed for the season, she mustered the courage to face her parents. With a deep breath, she blurted out, "I'm joining the army." The words rushed out so swiftly that they were almost indistinguishable, but to a parent's ear they resonated deeply, especially given the family's pacifist inclinations. Both of Angelique's parents turned in her direction and said at precisely the same time, "What?" Once Angelique's intentions were laid bare, the dynamics between her and her parents shifted irrevocably. While they had anticipated her eventual departure from the farm, the prospect of her joining the military was something they hadn't prepared for. A week later, accompanied by a close friend, Angelique set out for the recruiter's office. Her goal was clear. She was set on the infantry. Jerry's rigorous training had equipped her with skills and confidence. She was eager to demonstrate her capabilities on a larger stage. As they approached the recruitment center, Angelique's anticipation grew. She sprang out of the car even before it had fully stopped. Upon entering, the sight before her momentarily halted her in her tracks. It wasn't apprehension but sheer exhilaration. The vibrant posters of valorous soldiers, the life-sized cardboard soldiers in action stances, and the crisp uniforms of the officers around instilled in her an overwhelming sense of the grand journey she was about to undertake. "Hello, I'm Sergeant Soper," the recruiter introduced himself, extending a hand. For a moment, Angelique seemed lost in her surroundings, not acknowledging his greeting. Sensing her distraction, the sergeant cleared his throat to recapture her attention. Snapping back to the present, Angelique looked him in the eye, her voice slightly hesitant but firm. "Hello, I'm here to enlist." Sergeant Soper nodded with a knowing smile. "You're in the right place then." He gestured towards his desk. As she settled into a chair, he walked over to a display, selecting a few brochures. Returning to his desk, he began detailing potential roles for her. "Considering your profile, you might be interested in these roles: medic, parachute rigger, cook." She interrupted him confidently. "I've made up my mind. I want to be in the infantry." Her tone left no room for doubt. When he heard the words come from Angelique's mouth, Sergeant Soper froze. All he could think was, how could someone this beautiful want to join the infantry? Then he thought that she must be mistaking the infantry for something else. Another job. He decided that he didn't want to hurt her feelings about the mistake. He would just move on with the brochures he was showing. "Transportation. No, I am sorry, Sergeant, but I want the infantry." As she cut him off this time, he could hear that her tone had become much more serious. Sergeant Soper looked at Angelique and thought, "This blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl wants the infantry?" It puzzled him. "I want to fight," Angelique said, as she leaned forward and slowly kept eye contact with the sergeant. Sergeant Soper met her gaze momentarily before looking away. Carefully collecting the spread-out brochures, he returned them to their designated slots on the display rack. Angelique's gaze followed him intently, her heart rate rising in anticipation as he singled out a specific brochure. With the solitary pamphlet in hand, he returned to his desk, settling into his chair. For a moment the room was silent. Then he took a deep breath, locking eyes with her. "I respect your choice and enthusiasm," he began cautiously, "but currently women are not permitted in the infantry." After hearing the words come from his mouth, Angelique was outraged. She could feel her hopes and dreams crashing. Her path in life had been so clear just a few moments ago. Now it was fading. Sergeant Soper cleared his throat, taking a moment to gather his thoughts. "Though the infantry might be off-limits," he started, leaning forward, "there are roles that come with their own set of challenges and rewards." Angelique's disappointment from moments ago started to wane, replaced by a fresh curiosity. She leaned in, ready to soak up any alternative he might offer. He slid a brochure towards her. "Military police," he declared. Angelique's eyes darted to the brochure, scanning the images and text. Her previous training with Jerry meant she was no stranger to discipline and structure, making this a potential fit. "And what exactly would I be doing in this role?" Angelique asked, genuine interest evident in her voice. Sergeant Sofa leaned back, studying her for a moment before replying, "The military police play a crucial role in upholding law and order within the military establishment. They handle investigations, security, and even engage in combat support. It's as close to frontline action as you can get without actually being in the infantry." Angelique pondered his words for a moment. It wasn't exactly what she had in mind, but it was close. The promise of being near the action appealed to her instincts and training. Seeing her consideration, Sergeant Soper started to extract the necessary paperwork. "Should you choose this path," he said, handing her a pen, "I believe you'll make an excellent addition to the military police." Angelique had anticipated a flurry of activity during her enlistment, but the process was more tedious than she had imagined. The recruitment office had been just the beginning. Now, at the military entrance processing, she was set to take her Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery Test and undergo a physical exam. The bus journey to the processing center was a time for reflection. Angelique stared out the window, lost in her thoughts, her mind swirling with anticipation and curiosity about what the next day would bring. That evening, the test proved to be a breeze. Every question she answered bolstered her confidence further, assuring her that she was on the right path. Yet the following day was nothing like she'd expected. The physical was interspersed with long stretches of waiting. She'd imagined a seamless transition from one test to the next, but instead found herself frequently checking her watch, feeling impatience. She wished she had brought a book to pass the time. Remembering Jerry's words about the military's penchant for hurry up and wait, she sighed. She was getting her first real taste of military life, and it was evident that patience would be an essential virtue in her new journey. After completing her physical, Angelique was presented with another mound of paperwork to review and sign. With each scribble of her pen, her commitment to this new path deepened. Until today, her social security number was a string of digits she'd rarely used. But after repeatedly jotting it down beside her signature, those numbers were now etched into her memory. What came next was something she hadn't anticipated happening so soon: the oath of enlistment. The very mention sent a shiver down her spine. It was the moment that would seal her commitment, transforming her intention into a tangible promise. The weight of what she was about to undertake felt real and immediate. As the clock ticked on, Angelique found herself in a large room alongside several other enlistees. An feel of solemnity hung in the room along with anticipation. Eyes darted around, and whispers filled the gaps of silence as everyone waited for the ceremony to commence. The atmosphere grew still the moment an officer entered, confidently striding to the front, ready to guide them through the sacred pledge that would mark the start of their military journeys. "I will be conducting your swearing-in today," he said as he looked around the room. The officer's gaze scanned the room, piercing through any last-minute doubts. "If anyone has reservations about the commitment you're about to make, I urge you to reconsider now." He paused, allowing the weight of his words to settle over the room. "Once we begin, there's no turning back." After another deliberate pause, he continued, "When I prompt with insert name, state your full name loudly and clearly. Is everyone ready?" Everyone replied, yes. Angelique, though, had doubts that a few in the room could follow the simple instructions. Her blood pressure and emotions began to run high with excitement, and then they started. With her right hand raised, Angelique repeated after the officer, "I, Angelique Rose Carringer, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same." and that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me according to regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God." By the end, Angelique had never felt so much excitement. Her life was truly changing. She understood that it wouldn't be easy, but for her that was part of the attraction.